Tale of the Sun and Moon by Megan Sly. Episode 5, The Outcast. 34 AG, Northern Water Tribe. In the very early morning, 16-year-old Taki stands on a small rock formation surrounded by ice and snow. Her long, jet black hair is half pulled back into an intricate braid on the back of her head, and she wears dark purple water tribe clothes. With the full moon descending in the sky above her, Taki suddenly starts bending the snow and swirling it around herself. She twirls her body and hands elegantly as the snow dances around her. As she does this, the sun peers over the horizon and shines across the frozen land. The brilliant sunlight radiates Taki with a warm, bright glow. She maneuvers her fingers and hands to gradually melt the snow swirling around her into glistening water. Raising her arms above her, Taki changes the water into rising steam, which slowly spreads out all around the vast snowy landscape. With a quiet exhale, Taki lowers her arms and stares over at the rising sun with her striking blue eyes. She turns and slowly starts walking back towards the tunnel city. As she enters the capital city and walks through the streets, several Water Tribe citizens glance uneasily at her and then face away. Noticing this, Taki glances down with a small sigh.
Taki!
Taki stops and turns to see a girl slightly younger than herself racing towards her. Breathing heavily, Rin stops next to Taki. Rin wears elegant robes and has her wavy brown hair styled in an updo at the back of her head.
I've been looking everywhere for you.
Oh, I've been around.
Avoiding Rin's eyes, Taki starts walking again. Rin quickly falls in a step behind her.
You were practicing waterbending again, weren't you?
Rin, it doesn't matter to me that using waterbending to fight is forbidden by females. Besides, I'm already seen as an oddity by everyone in this city.
Not everyone.
Taki gives Rin a small, grateful smile.
So, why were you looking for me?
Oh, right. My dad's having a grand celebration in the courtyard to welcome the chief of the Southern Water Tribe. He wanted both of us there.
Well, we'd better head over then.
Taki and Rin steadily make their way to the main courtyard in front of the royal palace. A large crowd has already filled the courtyard. Taki and Rin stop near the steps to the palace as Roka, now chief, descends the steps and stops. Taki and Rin stop near the steps to the palace as Roka, now chief, descends the steps and stops halfway down. Glancing over at his daughter and Taki, Roka gives them a smile and then faces forward. Just then, the crowd parts down the middle as Hayase, now chief of the southern. Just then, the crowd parts down the middle as Hayase, now chief of the Southern Water Tribe, and a few of his warriors stride forward toward the palace.
My people, let us welcome our southern brothers, Chief Hayase and his warriors.
As they walk through the cheering crowd, Hayase glances over at Taki, and his eyes grow wide in realization. Narrowing his gaze, he faces away from her, causing Taki to furrow her brows. Roka meets Hayase at the bottom of the steps. The two of them smile and embrace one another.
Hayase, old friend, it's wonderful to see you.
You as well, Roka. It seems the two of us have done quite well these past few years.
Right, and I hear you have greatly restructured and strengthened the Southern Water Tribe.
These past years have been blessed indeed. I even have a growing family back home.
Ah, yes, as I've heard. Speaking of family, I'd like you to finally meet my daughter, Princess Rin.
Roka gestures to Rin, who steps forward and gives a small nod to Hayase.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Chief Hayase.
The pleasure is all mine, Princess.
Hayase gives a grand bow. As he rises, his eyes drift over to Taki. Seeing this, Roka clears his throat.
And this is my ward, Taki. We took her in when she was orphaned as a baby and have raised her in the palace.
Hayase says nothing, but simply stares over at Taki with venomous eyes.
Looks just like him. Except the eyes.
Taki's eyes grow wide as she stares back at Hayase. Uneasily, Roka clasps his hand on Hayase's shoulder.
My friend, please allow me to show you and your warriors to your quarters. I'm sure you're all tired from your long journey.
Slowly, Hayase turns to Roka with a grin.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Roka.
Roka ushers Hayase up the stairs and avoids Taki's gaze.
Rin, just who is this chief?
He's an old friend of my dad's. They grew up together here, but Hayase left for the Southern Water Tribe about 16 years ago.
16 years.
Taki looks down, deep in thought. 34 AG, Northern Water Tribe, Royal Palace. Silent and still, Taki stands in front of the doors to the throne room. After a long pause, she exhales and raises her hands to open the doors. Taki stops and the doors suddenly open with Roka staring wide-eyed at her.
Oh, Taki. I didn't expect you.
Sorry, it's just... Do you have a minute to talk?
Yes, of course.
Roka holds out her arm, welcoming Taki to enter, which she does. As she moves past him, Roka glances briefly into the hall and then quickly closes the doors behind him. He walks to the center of the vast throne room filled with a giant waterfall and pools of water.
So, what's on your mind?
Well, I was just wondering about Chief Hayase. Did he know my parents? He seems to know me.
Ah. You see, Hayase, he knows of you.
And my parents.
Still not looking at Taki, Roka pauses a moment before answering.
He knows as much as me about your parents. Which is little. Now, has Rin talked to you about...
Stop! Why do you always do that?
Speechless, Roka turns to Taki with wide eyes.
Whenever the topic of my parents comes up, you always avoid my questions and change the subject. I want to know why.
As she yells, Taki raises her arms up, which causes all the water in the room to start bubbling with heat.
Taki.
No, I'm so tired of it. You clearly know way more about my parents and my past than you're saying. Why won't you tell me?
With her intensity rising, Taki superheats all the surrounding water, so much that it boils over and melts part of the ice and snow throughout the room.
How am I supposed to know who I am and where I fit in this world if I don't even know who my family is?
At that moment, Taki thrusts out her hands to the side, which causes the boiling water to burst into hot steam. Blinking in shock, Taki glances around at the steam and simmering water.
Did I just...
Superheat water?
Breathing deeply, Taki stares down at her open hands. The water slowly ceases to bubble with the heat as the steam fades. Roka takes a few steps towards Taki. Before he has a chance to say anything, the doors open as a water tribe guard enters.
Chief Roka,
Yes, what is it?
Chief Hayase is waiting outside for your meeting.
Right, go ahead and send him in.
With a curt bow, the guard exits to the hall. Roka turns back to Taki, who continues looking down.
I'm sorry, Taki. This will have to wait until later.
With no response, Taki avoids his eyes and turns to leave. As she nears the door, Taki looks up to find Hayase walking towards her and glaring at her hard. As they pass by each other, he whispers something to her.
Be grateful you were born a waterbender and not the alternative.
Wide-eyed, Taki stops walking and stares back at Hayase, who moves over to Roka and immediately starts talking with him. Glancing down in thought, Taki slowly exits the throne room. 34 AG, Northern Water Tribe, Spirit Oasis. Kneeling down on warm grass, Taki leans over the crystal clear pool of water as she watches the black and white koi fish circle one another. Hearing footsteps, Taki turns to find Roka, standing on a nearby bridge looking over at her with sad eyes. Taki sighs and faces the water once again. Slowly, Roka makes his way over to her.
You've chosen the best spot to collect your thoughts. The most peaceful place in the entire North Pole.
Gazing down at the water and the tranquil koi fish, Taki remains silent. Roka studies her intently for a moment before gazing up at the moon.
This is also the spot where your parents were married.
Wide-eyed, Taki whirls her head around to look up at him. Slowly, she stands and faces him. Taki swallows and continues staring at him as her breath catches in her throat.
Yes, I knew both of your parents.
Roka turns to the side and looks down.
Your mother meant the world to me.
A somber smile appears on Roka's face as he looks up in thought.
No matter how many years it's been, I will always miss my dear sister. Gone much too soon.
Wide-eyed, Taki's mouth opens slightly in realization.
Sister? Does that mean...
Your mother was my younger sister, Princess Yuzuki of the Northern Water Tribe. She died moments after you were born.
Eyes frantic with shock, Taki's breath quickens.
She was the princess and you're my uncle.
I realize now that I should have told you of this much sooner, but I never felt that I could when my father was still alive.
But he's been dead for 6 years. You could have told me so many times.
I know, but I didn't want to stir up all these memories, all this pain.
That doesn't matter. They're my parents, my past. I have a right to know the truth, all of it. You told me I'm my mother, but what of my father?
With a heavy sigh, Roka looks down. Taki stares at him intently, waiting for an answer. Slowly, she looks down at her open hands and then glances over at the pool of water.
My father wasn't from the water tribe, was he?
Almost 20 years ago, there was a Fire Nation raid on the Northern Water Tribe. It was an intense battle, but we overcame it. It was during the fighting that Yuzuki met a firebender named Tayo, who ended up saving my life. He became one of the many Fire Nation war prisoners we held captive. Over the next couple of years, Yuzuki and Tayo fell in love. They were married in secret. Not long after, my father discovered that Yuzuki was pregnant with you. In turn, he banished Tayo from the Northern Water Tribe.
Out of breath, Taki stares back at Roka with wide eyes.
My father is alive?
He was when he left here all those years ago, but he has no idea you exist. There was a moment that I could have told him Yuzuki was pregnant, but
Shutting his eyes, Roka faces away from Taki.
What you're saying is that my father is out there somewhere. With no knowledge that he has a daughter, I have to find him.
In a huff, Taki brushes past Roka, who quickly grabs her arm.
No, Taki. You're still so young. It wouldn't be safe for you to go off on your own.
Young? I'm 16 years old. I'm certainly old enough to make my own decisions as well as travel the world. Besides, I'm a bender. I can protect myself.
That may be true, but you'd still be traveling alone.
Roka, my father is alive and out there somewhere. I can finally have a family.
Awkwardly, Roka looks down.
Roka, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I may not have known it all these years, but you've always been family to me.
With a grateful smile, Roka walks over and gently hugs Taki.
I know you want to see your father, and hopefully someday you will, but you've only just found out the truth. Why don't you take some time to let it sink in before setting out on any major journeys?
Taki says nothing as Roka slowly leans back. He smiles at her and fumbles with something in his pocket.
There's just one more thing I need to do.
Roka pulls out a broken black stone-carved betrothal necklace. He holds it out to Taki.
This is the betrothal necklace that your father made for your mother. I'm sure Yuzuki would have wanted you to have this.
Swallowing slowly, Taki grabs a hold of the necklace with wide eyes. Gently, she ties it around her neck.
It's beautiful, but broken.
Merely separate. Your father holds the other half.
Taki looks up at Roka intently.
In that case, I will reunite those pieces. Someday.
34 AG, Northern Water Tribe, Royal Palace. In the dead of night, Taki quietly moves through the halls of the palace with a packed bag slung over her shoulder. She stops when she hears a door open nearby. Rin stands in the doorway of her room, staring at Taki with tired eyes.
Taki? What are you doing up so late?
Taki looks down silently. Rin's eyes grow wide as she notices Taki's bag.
Wait, are you leaving?
With a faint smile, Taki steps towards Rin.
I've just discovered the truth about my parents, and my father's out there somewhere with no knowledge of my existence. I have to find him. I can't stay here any longer. I need to find my place in this world.
With a sad smile, Rin pulls Taki into a tight hug.
I understand why you must go, Taki, but know that I will miss you greatly.
I miss you too.
We may not be related by blood, but I've always seen you as my family.
As they pull apart, Taki grins back at Rin.
About that, you may want to have a chat with your dad in the morning.
Oh? What for?
Oh, trust me, you'll want to hear what he has to say.
Okay,
Well, I'd better be off before anyone else notices.
alright. Best of luck, Taki.
Thanks, Rin. You take care.
I will. Goodbye, Taki.
With one last smile at Rin, Taki turns and continues quickly and quietly down the hallway. 34 AG, Northern Water Tribe, Shoreline. With the moon shining above her, Taki crouches over a small boat on the icy shore outside the city. She stands upright while tossing the remainder of her supplies into it. Just as she starts climbing into the boat, Taki hears snow crunching behind her.
Quite the night for a getaway.
Wide-eyed, Taki whirls around to find Roka standing a few feet away with his arms crossed.
Roka,
Especially with the full moon tonight. A waterbender with your skill should be able to reach the Earth Kingdom shores by sunrise, no problem.
Taki looks down.
You knew I was leaving tonight.
Taki, you're just like my sister in so many ways. Once you've made up your mind...
There's no going back.
Silent and motionless, the two of them stand at the edge of the icy shore and stare up at the bright full moon above them.
Do you really think I'll find him?
Perhaps, but it won't be easy. You shouldn't go this journey alone.
Staring forward in thought, Taki says nothing.
Taki, I know you feel as though you don't belong to any place or any people, but we aren't meant to go through life alone.
I may not have totally belonged here, but I'm thankful to have had you with Ren.
Well, you may not have known it your whole life, but I've always seen you as my beloved niece.
Teary-eyed, Roka pulls Taki into a tight hug.
You're all I have left of Zuki, just as I did for her. I want nothing but the best for you.
Thank you, Roka.
The two of them release, and Roka smiles back at Taki.
Your father is a good man. Tyle will be blessed to finally have you in his life.
All I have to do is find him.
Carefully, Taki climbs into her boat.
Tyle wasn't much of a Fire Nation loyalist, so I doubt he'd go back there. In fact, I believe he even had a burn scar on his right wrist. Not exactly sure where he got it from, though. Anyway, your best bet is to start your search in the Earth Kingdom.
Alright. Thanks again, Roka, for everything.
Raising her arms, Taki waterbends a small wave to push her boat away from the snowy shoreline. She stands in the center of the boat, staring back at her uncle. With a sad smile, Roka gives her a small nod of his head. Smiling back, Taki turns to face the open waters before her. She glances down at her black stone necklace. With a quiet exhale, Taki looks up and thrusts her arms behind her to create a powerful wave which propels her vessel forward at great speed. 34 AG, Earth Kingdom, Northern Shore. Slowly twirling her arms through the air, Taki uses the water below her to carefully land her boat on the shores of the Earth Kingdom. She steps out of the boat and uses one last wave to set the boat aground. Taki turns to survey the forested and the rocky land before her.
Suppose there won't be many rivers or lakes here.
With a small shrug, Taki grabs her bag full of supplies, slings it over her shoulder, and starts walking towards the forest.
Guess that means I'm walking.
Taki ventures forward through the trees and travels over various hills and plains. After a while, she comes across a small river.
Oh, finally.
Dropping her bag to the dirt, Taki moves over to the river to wash her face and fill her drinking canteen, as well as 2 water-bending pouches strapped at her side. She looks up when she hears a nearby crash and a screech of pain. Standing and sprinting around the bend, Taki gasps when she sees a struggling eelhound howling in pain. A fallen tree pins down the back legs of the large green creature.
Hang on.
Dashing forward, Taki swings her arms around and down to send water pouring out from the river and under the tree. She raises her arms up forcefully, which pushes the water upwards, causing the tree to lift and fall away. Once free, the eelhound quickly staggers out of the way and stares over at Taki with inquisitive eyes. Taki lowers her arms and looks over at the hybrid animal with a warm smile.
No need to worry. You're free now.
The eelhound tilts her head as she studies Taki, who turns to move back toward the river. Taki doesn't get very far as the eelhound suddenly runs and stops in front of her. The giant green animal presses her face into Taki's abdomen and gently pushes her to the ground. Laughing, Taki sets her hands on the eelhound's face as the creature continues to snip her.
What are you doing?
Abruptly, the eelhound lifts her head up and sits on her hind legs. Taki slowly sits up and furrows her brows. The reptile creature wags her long tail and gives a low, joyful howl. Shaking her head, Taki stands and dusts herself off.
Look, I don't have time to play. I'm on a very important journey.
As Taki starts to move back towards the river, the eelhound quickly lies down and gestures to her back with a nod of her head. Taki's eyes grow wide in realization.
Wait, does this mean you want me to ride you?
Cautiously, Taki steps closer and climbs onto the eelhound's back. With a gleeful snort, the animal stands and shifts her weight with her tall, strong legs.
Whoa! Well, I guess if we're sticking together from now on, I'd better give you a name.
The eelhound curves her long neck to stare back at Taki with expectant eyes.
You're of the Earth Kingdom. How about Isla?
Isla immediately jumps slightly and lets out a long howl.
I guess that means you like it. Well then, Isla, together we'll find my father.
Taki directs Isla to move back over to the stream so she can gather her belongings. Once she has them, Taki and Isla continue on the forested part of the Earth Kingdom. They travel on for quite some time in silence. Eventually, Taki slows Isla to a stop when she hears rumbling thunder overhead. Blinking a few times, she looks up at the overcast sky.
Thunder, but no lightning.
Just as she's about to urge Isla onward, Taki stops when she notices a shadowed figure standing on a wide branch of a tall tree some distance away. She squints her eyes to get a better look. Just then, a loud crack of thunder booms throughout the air as a long stream of lightning flashes across the sky. From the sudden jolt, Taki glances up as rain starts trickling down from the gloomy sky above. As the rain intensifies, Taki turns back to the tree and furrows her brows when she realizes the figure is gone. With a sigh, Taki looks down at Isla.
Okay, Isla, let's carry on.
As they start moving, Taki holds up one hand to create a barrier of water from the rain to keep herself and Isla dry. After a short while of traveling through the small forest, Taki and Isla come across a small abbey. As they make their way into the courtyard of the abbey, Taki ceases her bending the rain just as Mother Superior approaches them.
My dear, please come inside to get out of this rain. We've just made a hot meal. You are more than welcome to have some.
Thank you, that's very kind.
Taki leads Isla underneath the wide ledge of one of the buildings and notices some nearby leather saddles. She glances over at Mother Superior.
Actually, would it be possible for me to use one of these saddles for my eelhound?
Yes, of course. I'm sure a traveler like yourself could certainly use such an item on your journey.
With a grateful smile, Taki carefully secures one of the saddles onto Isla's back and under her belly and legs. Once this is finished, Taki pets Isla on the head and then turns to follow Mother Superior into the main dining building of the abbey. Mother Superior sits at the head of the small table with a few other nuns already eating.
Please have as much as you'd like.
Oh, thank you again for your kindness.
Taki sits and starts scooping up some rice.
Oh dear, you're all wet. You should warm yourself by the fire.
Oh, it's no problem.
Setting down her bowl, Taki raises her hands to draw out the water from her hair and clothes. Swishing her hands sharply, Taki evaporates the water into steam, which steadily dissipates.
Oh, you're a waterbender!
And what brings a young waterbender such as yourself to these parts?
Actually, I'm looking for someone. My father. I don't suppose any of you might have seen him pass through here years ago.
Well, what does he look like?
I'm not sure. I've never met him.
There is a moment of brief silence.
But I know he has dark hair like me, and a scar on his right wrist.
At hearing this, Mother Superior's eyes grow wide. She looks down.
I know of whom you speak. He came to the Abbey about 15 years ago.
What? Really?
Mother Superior glances over at the window as the hard rain pelts against it.
I was only a nun at the time, when he stumbled into the Abbey on a night much like this one. He was soaked to the bone and full of despair.
19 AG, Earth Kingdom, Abbey. A young Mother Superior sprints across the courtyard of the Abbey as heavy rain falls from the sky. She stops when she realizes Tayo is standing motionless in the center of the courtyard. Hurriedly, she moves over to him with a concerned look on her face.
Excuse me, are you okay? You're drenched.
Tayo stares forward blankly. Slowly, he turns to look at her.
How long have you been in the rain?
Rain. Water.
Tayo's gaze drifts upwards into the pouring raindrops.
Yusuke.
Suddenly, Tayo collapses from exhaustion, and Mother Superior hurriedly bends down next to him.
Help! Someone come quick! This man needs help!
34 AG, Earth Kingdom, Abbey. Intently, Taki stares at Mother Superior, waiting for her to continue.
Apparently your father had been aimlessly wandering through the forests of the northern Earth Kingdom for weeks. By the time he reached the Abbey, he was terribly ill, utterly exhausted. We nursed him back to health, and he ended up staying with us for several months. He didn't say or do much, just sat in thought clutching a broken black stone.
Did it look like this?
Yes, exactly.
It belonged to my mother.
I see.
When did my father leave here? Do you know where he headed next?
After he had been with us for a while, I finally encouraged him to stop wallowing in sorrow and to do something with his life. I suggested he travel the world to find his new purpose in life. I believe he was going to visit the village of Makapu, not too far from here.
That's exactly what I needed to hear. I guess there's no time to waste then.
Without another word, Taki takes one more bite of rice, stands, and moves towards the door.
You're leaving so soon?
This is the first real clue I've had about my father. I finally have a trail to follow.
But the storm!
You forget, I'm a waterbender. I'll be all right.
It's not the storm that worries us, dear girl. With the war going on, Fire Nation soldiers have been conquering more and more of the Earth Kingdom lands.
That makes no difference. I'll go wherever the path leads to find my father.
If you must, just know that the Fire Nation isn't the only threat you should worry about during your travels.
What do you mean?
Slowly, Mother Superior moves towards Taki.
There is a dangerous darkness that shrouds these lands. He's known as the Lightning Shadow. And just like the bolts of light in the sky, he is silent, swift, and deadly.
Taki glances over at the other nuns, who look down quietly. She turns back to Mother Superior and swallows slowly.
Who is he?
His identity is unknown. He holds no ties to any one nation. As a mercenary, he comes and goes, carrying out all kinds of horrific acts.
Mercenary.
Looking back up at each of the nuns, Taki bows respectfully.
I really appreciate your advice, the information on my father, and the warm meal, but I must be going.
Stop by whenever you like, dear, but please do take care.
I will. Thanks again for everything.
With that, Taki exits the building and walks over to Isla.
Well, Isla, ready to go?
With Taki on top of her, Isla stands and runs out into the pouring rain. The two of them race out of the courtyard and away from the Abbey. As they continue through the forest, the raging thunderstorm swirls around them with rain, wind, and lightning. Eventually, they come to a stop near the large rock formation when Taki hears sounds of a struggle. Quickly, Taki dismounts Isla and moves over to the rocks.
Wait here.
With the rain pelting down on her, Taki crouches low and carefully maneuvers around the tall rocks. The clashes of combat grow louder as she peers around the side of the rocks. Her eyes grow wide when she sees a figure dressed all in black darting around various Fire Nation soldiers and knocking them out with his metal staff.
It's him. The Lightning Shadow.
Thank you for listening to A Tale of the Sun and Moon by Megan Sly. This has been Episode 5, The Outcast. Voice talents included Michaela Case as the narrator, Sharia Bunce as Taki, Joshua Malley as Tayo, Alec Leonard as Roka, Dawson Elke as Hayase, Megan Sly as Mother Superior, Abby Day as Rin, and Mitch Geiken as additional voices.